Guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you the much requested how to make tech house grooves like Josh Butler. So, as usual, you can get the project files, samples, MIDI, presets, all that kind of stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it'll be available shortly. Let's get started. So, this loop you heard in the intro, we're at 126 BPM. The first sound I have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So what this is it's a pretty standard like tech house sort of kick. Basically, I've taken this sample and I just kind of shortened it a little bit. I've put it into this one-shot mode on Ableton Simpler, and yeah, I've just got it kind of like cutting that off a little bit. So we get a shorter kick, and the reason for this is really just because this bass line is really long. Like, it's got some kind of longer, more sustained notes. So if we have a really long kick with that, it's not going to work so well. Like if I just take the kick how it is, you can hear it's kind of blending with the bass in a weird way. So that's why I shortened that. You know, it's just kind of a matter of like knowing how to do the little subtle things like that to make the low end really work in your track. After that, I have a bit of drum bus, just kind of fattening it up. You can see we just got the drive up a bit. I've got that on the hard setting. You can hear it's a big difference there. Like, this is really adding a lot of fatness to the kick. I also have this tuner here, just because I was trying to see what tuning it's in. It's saying F now. It's in F sharp. It's a little weird. But yeah, then the last thing I have on here is just this EQ8, which is just kind of like refining it. It's basically boosting the low end, boosting the high end a little bit, and then just cutting around 235 hertz. Those of you who watch a lot of my videos know that I love this technique. It's a really good way to kind of clean up your kick. Like, here's without it. And with it, it just takes it and kind of refines it to only what you want for the kick. And yeah, that is it for the kick. The next sound we have here is the bass, which sounds like this. So without the sidechain, this is what the bass line sounds like. Basically what's happening here is it's just starting at B, and then it's going 7 notes up to F sharp. This is technically in the key of F sharp, since that is really the note that we're like holding out here. But yeah, it's just sliding up there, and then it's doing that little thing, and then it does this little thing at the end. So pretty simple stuff. Basically what's going on here is, yeah, it's just kind of playing this like bouncy sort of like just really solid bass line. Like, you just want something really like something really groovy like this. And you'll also notice, speaking of groove, with all the 16 notes, I've started taking them a little bit off the grid. So like this one, and those two, and then all of those as it goes on. You can see, yeah, I've just pushed those back a little bit, so they're not quite on the grid. They're just kind of like slightly off, and that's what's giving this a lot of swing. I have this on like all the percussion as well, as you can hear. So yeah, just kind of like a nice technique to make it a little bit funkier and a little bit groovier. For the sound on this one, I made it using Operator. This is a pretty simple sort of FM tech house bass. I like using FM for these kind of tech house basses because you can hear we can make these kind of cool bass sounds where it's like this big, it's almost a sine wave, but it's not quite, you know, it's based on sine waves. It's just 3 sine waves doing FM here, you can see. But it's like a little bit more to it. And basically the explanation for this is that it's harmonics. Like, if I play you just the sine wave, you'll see on the spectrum here. You can see it's just got what's called the fundamental harmonic. Just that thing playing. That's what a sine wave is. And you can't really hear this. You know, it's just kind of like this low sort of rumbly thing. But then when we add in, actually let me not delete that. But then when we add in these other oscillators, so you see it goes from this, now we have more harmonics over here. And then if we add in the third one, there we go. We have even more harmonic content. So that's basically what's going on there. It's like trying to get that more sine wavy, kind of like deep sound. But as you can hear, it's a little bit more to it, and that's what the FM does. So after that, I have this drum bus, which is just kind of fattening the bass up a little bit more. You can hear beefing it up a bit, giving it even more high harmonic content. And then after that, I just have a compressor side chaining it to the kick, and that is it for the bass. So then I have the kick and the bass in a group together. You guys who watch my videos a lot also know that I do this a lot. Basically, this just kind of helps to make it a bit more cohesive in the low end. I'll show you. Here's with no group processing. And And there's with it. So you can hear it's very subtle in this case, but even with these like really subtle little things like this, it still does a lot in the way of kind of just bringing the sounds out and really, yeah, just making the low end that much more cohesive. So the first thing I have on here is the saturator, which here's without it. And then with it, it's only on a little bit. I only have just the drive up to 1.71 dB, but you can hear the difference there. It's just kind of fattening these up a little bit and kind of gluing them together a little bit more. After that, I have this EQ8, which I'm doing a really, really slight low-end boost, and then just this cut around 206. This just kind of cleans up some sort of muddy frequencies. You can hear the difference there. And also, I feel like this helps to kind of glue these together as well, because when you put an effect like this that's shaping the sort of like tonality of it, or like, yeah, like an EQ like this basically, you're putting the same effect on both sounds at once. So just by virtue of that, they're going to sound more cohesive than had you just like, you know, just had them not having it. That is it for the low end bus. The next thing that we have here is this tambourine, which sounds like this. This is pretty simple. It's just a little tambourine sound. Basically, it's being layered together with this hi-hat. So we have like the tambourine kind of doing that like super jingly bright high end, and then we have this hi-hat kind of giving us more of the body of the sound. And you'll listen, like if I just play the hi-hat on its own, it doesn't have that bright high end, but if I just play the tambourine on its own, it doesn't have that same body to it. So you need both of them, but that's basically what this tambourine is doing. You can see it's just playing these 16 notes. I've got those swung just like I was saying before. You can also see I've turned down the velocity of every second note. So it's kind of making it feel a little bit more realistic and a little bit less just like rigid and dry. And yeah, like I said, with that, we also have this closed hi-hat. So I'm just taking this sample. And then I've just shortened it a bit with the envelope. And then I've got that playing the same MIDI, so it's doing that same kind of pattern. And yeah, these two layered together, very effective combo. Again, we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. We get sort of like the more mid-rangey sound of this hi-hat with the super bright sound of the tambourine. So after that, I have the open hi-hat, which sounds like this. This is pretty simple. With this one, it's more about the type of sound you're using. Like you can hear, I just have this really tight, kind of shorter hi-hat. Like you don't want something super long. Like you wouldn't, I mean, even like I wouldn't want to use something, you know, you wouldn't want to use something like that. Or like a longer, you want like something kind of shorter and tighter like this. So yeah, after that we have the clap, which sounds like this. This is pretty simple. It's just this kind of like clean clap sample. With this one, again, it's just more about the sample, like just knowing how to choose kind of like something a little bit smaller like this that still has that really tight kind of crack to it where it sits on top of the mix really well. After that, we have the percussion, which sounds like this. You can hear that with the open hi-hat. Basically, we just have these three different sounds. I have like this little snare and this rim shot, and then I have a closed hi-hat. So the snare is playing like these little those. And then the rim shot just comes in on every second bar. Pretty simple there. And then the closed hi-hat comes in like that. So pretty simple stuff. You can hear these are all just like swung on some 16 notes. Just kind of adding a bit to the groove. Like if I turn these off, you can hear it's not really as interesting. It still technically works, but those really bring it to life a lot more. So after that, I have all this percussion in a group, very similar to the kick and the bass, just putting all the similar sounds in a group and processing them together can really help to make them sound more cohesive. So here is with nothing, and then with the processing. So yeah, you can hear the difference there. Like it's really helping to kind of take these. I feel like this is the stuff that takes your sounds from just being like some raw, dry audio and kind of like puts them into the project file, or like puts them into the tracks. The first thing I have is the drum bus. Here's without it and with it. So again, just like with the kick and the bass, putting something like this on the group, you're putting like the same kind of like sonic texture on everything at the same time. So it's going to make everything more cohesive just by virtue of that. So that's what we got going on here. I got the drive up bit. I got the crunch up a little bit as well. And yeah, after that, I just have this EQ8. So all this is doing actually is just cutting out the low and just kind of cleans it up. You can see and hear. Some of these sounds have a lot of low end to them. So it's just kind of cleaning that up and making everything really bright and sharp sounding like we want it. So with that, that is going to be it for this one. That is everything I have to show you for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you want to think in the comments. Let me know who you want to see me do a video on next as well. As always, you can get the project file and samples, MIDI, and the presets, all that kind of stuff from this video in the description, so make sure to check for that. And if you're Patreon on my Patreon, check there because it'll be available there shortly. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.